Jay, what do you know about this place called Shangri-La and these mystic, tall, white, Bigfoot Yetis, aka abominable snowmen that protect the outside of it?
I know that there's probably going to be a lot of words in this podcast that I'm really, really going to wreck.
The
That's what I
Tonkaranka.
think.
The Tonkaranka,
Yeah.
Shankara, Sharangalanka, right?
Yeah, that one. That one specifically, the Kalachakra Tantra.
Kalachakra Tantra. Well, anyway, so I'm going to get into this. I came across this. I found it was interesting because it crosses two things that we like talking around here. Me and you, ancient history, Bigfoots and cryptids, and we're going to unpack it. So welcome to Enigma Cast, nerds. I'm Joseph.
And I'm Uncle Jay.
And we're about to break it down to you. If you've never heard of what Shangri-La is or the Guardians of Shangri-La, we are about to break it all down, put it in a bubble, and then you know what? Wrap it right back to that book back there. And that way you can see where it all comes in together. Well, anyways, before we get into that, let's dig into this quick. I'm going to tell you where it's at. I'm going to give you the location, the legend, and then we're going to break it down. All right? So, no one knows where Shangri-La is.
There we go. It's in a mysterious place.
It's a mysterious place. However, there is a general locale where it's traditionally believed to be, according to the Tibetans. And according to the Tibetan Buddhists, Shangri-La lies between the snowy peaks of the Himalayas, North Tibet, often referred to as the Hidden Lands, and is only thought to be able to be accessible through those who are spiritually advanced. And spoiler alert, that's a load of junk at the very end. And I'm going to tell you why. So anyways, Jay, Himalayas.
Spiritually advanced.
Spiritually advanced.
Okay.
Increase your vibrations, yum, 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 whatever. Wear a bathrobe, shave your head, and beg for food. That's basically what spiritually advanced means. But yeah, no, it is. We've had our conversations about this.
Oh, man.
So look, before we get into this, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to say that to the end. Anyway, so Jay, Himalayas, ever been there?
No, I have not ever been to the Himalayas. I understand mountain climbing.
I like
the
the
whole
hike.
idea of going up so high that you might not come back down again.
Yeah.
I'm kind of happy.
Yeah, I enjoy, hiking and going up, about 4,000 feet. I'm not trying to get up in the 30s where I got to stop and let my body adjust for 2 weeks before I make a death sprint.
I picked it up like 8,000 feet and stuff too. I mean, but there were trails and stuff. Like we weren't
right
pitoning ourselves up the side of an icy mountain, right? We were hiking through trails and stuff, right? Like,
so basically, that's where it's believed to be, in a place that's almost impossible to get to.
Pretty much unreachable, right?
Unreachable, and I'm going to give you a good solid 10 things that would kill you if you go and look for it, and
right?
to look
on.
That
mountain times 6.
Yeah, exactly right. So that's where it's supposed to be located. I'm going to tell you what it is, right? So what it is the legend behind Shambhala, aka Shangri-La, is also another name for it, I think. It's a mystical kingdom that embodies the enlightened wisdom and peace of a higher dimension that's supposed to be ruled by these enlightened kings who guard spiritual secrets. And there's a prophecy about this, right? And according to the prophecy of Shambhala, the final Rigden king will lead Shambhala's people to confront darkness in a time of global crisis, ushering in a new era of harmony. Now, I got some pretty interesting juice on that one, man. We'll get to that in a second, man. So yeah, Jay. So that's what Shangri-La is. It's a mystical kingdom that is up in the middle of nowhere, Tibet, and where the spiritually enlightened are supposed to be. We'll get into more detail on that. But here's the fun fact of this, right? There are guardians to get into Shangri-La. And so these guardians are Bigfoots, also known as
Yeti.
A Yeti.
Yeti.
At a Yeti. Also, here is another culture that could not be any farther away from the Appalachian North American range than the Himalayas,
right,
that have the exact same cryptid description that only varies in the color of their fur. Yetis are white. Yetis are so white. Yeah, and then we have the brown and the black ones and the red ones over here, right?
Yeah, because that's what fades into the background.
Exactly. That's perfect camouflage, right?
Yeah.
So again, we have two cultures talking about something that is on two different continents and have a lot of the same properties. They're spiritual, they're physical, both. They can be highly aggressive. Yetis are actually bigger than most North American Bigfoots until you get out into the Alaska mountain range, where Alaska, the average size of a Bigfoot is 12 foot to 14 foot with the occasional, whatever. The minimum size in the Himalayas, from what I was done and from the Tibetan stories, they all start at 12, get up to 16. And there's actually a scientific word for things that live in colder regions, actually over time become bigger, right? And I think I had a conversation with Steve about this the other day. When the Vikings went down to basically change the face of modern day the United Kingdom, they came ashore, and these, I guess they were Saxons at the time or whatever they were. They're the Britannians. They thought they were big. They thought they were giants. Yeah. They weren't really giants. The average height of a Viking was 6 foot and sometimes 6'3", with a few 6'6"ers in there.
Well, yeah.
But the average height of a Brit was 5'4". So of course, right? And so the reason why the Scandinavians and the Danes and all these guys were so much bigger is because they had to trudge through these snowbanks, generations upon generations.
Yeah, living was a little bit harder. Harder, right? Living was a lot harder. And not only that, but the whole crossbreeding with the Neanderthals.
Exactly, man. So there's a whole thing over there too, man. And so, that's a whole good podcast actually right there, man. So anyway, these Yetis are bigger than our Bigfoots over here. They're bigger. They're around 12 feet to 16 feet tall. And that's the description how I've never heard of a 20-foot tall one, but that's what they describe them on. To this day, unlike our culture where we argue about it, you will not find a Tibetan or someone from the Himalayas that says that don't believe in these Yetis. They 100% believe in them. And to give you a point of reference on, I'll use a Sherpa, for example. If you don't know what a Sherpa is, man, a Sherpa is a guide that takes people up and down the mountains in the Himalayas. So when you hear these people say that they're climbing Mount Everest, right, and they're struggling, there's a Sherpa 3 feet behind them that's not even breaking a sweat. They run up and down those mountains like 20 times a month, right? And so while the white boys are at base camp letting their blood catch up,
if you die, we're not bringing you back.
We're not bringing you back, man. So these people, they are renowned for their lung capacity. They are like the Tibetan people, man. Their H2O blood oxygen level is insane. It is next level, right? And
there was an article I read a couple weeks ago, so it's not real fresh in my memory, about it's almost like they're kind of rewriting the textbooks about evolution in that way, right? Like it happens a lot faster than they thought.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
These people in Tibet are evolving to live at these higher elevations, right? Like their bodies are already adapting.
Yeah, and so they're in those mountains all the time. They see these creatures all the time. They don't mess with them. They don't chase them. They actually have a reverence to them, a benevolence to them. But they'll be going up. So the Tibetan people, they to them, this is, for sure, right? So now there's also some cross reference that we're going to get into here that has to do with this Yeti from other cultures that get down into India as well, because if my geography and China, if my geography is quite right. There's a crossing point between India, Tibetan, and China, and I think it's called this Mount Kailash or something like that, man. It's in my notes here, but anyway, so I think they all have a reverence to this mountain, this Mount Kailash, right? And also Shangri-La.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's in my notes here too. It's way at the top though. Yeah. It's Mount.
Yeah, Kailash. Kalash. So anyways, a lot of people, if you speak to in Tibetan and the Buddhist, religious things, they will tell you that Kailash is the entrance to Shangri-La.
Okay.
And there's some weird stuff that goes on Kailash, man. I'm not gonna lie, dude. There's some fidukery. I did my research on this, man, and it got to the point, man, where I could not completely throw it in the trash, man. And I'm going to tell you why, man. Mount Kailash is the Mount Shasta of that region.
Of that region, yeah.
Not gonna lie, man. So, and also too. So, anyways, Mount Kailash is I'm gonna tell you where it's at. Mount Kailash is located in the Tibetan Autonomous Region of China, right near Lake Saravor, man. We're gonna have a hard time, man. And Lake
yeah, we are.
Rakashtel, right? It's an impressive 6,638 meters, which is about 21,788 feet. And now here's where it gets weird. It's a big mountain.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed to climb it. China won't let you climb it. None of the other people over there will let you climb it. And the reason why, and here is fiduciary reason number one. The Chinese in China, the government of China says that it has, wait for this, spiritual importance and no one's allowed to climb it. Pause right here, ladies and gentlemen. The Chinese don't give a you-know-what about no religion, about no Buddhist, no Tibetan stuff whatsoever. There's no chill among those atheists over there, right? And the fact that they say you can't climb Mount Kailash because it has spiritual reverence lets you to believe that there's something more going on here, right? The Tibetan people...
Yeah, because they don't typically give a crap about that.
They don't care. The Tibetan people 100% believe it has great spiritual value. In fact, I think the people of India, they'll tell you that Shiva lives in that mountain, that's his mountain, right? And here's what happens. Yeah. So some people have skirted the rules and got on this mountain for a little while. And this is what has been reported on that mountain. Time loss, time warps, orbs, energy feelings, panic attacks, and UFOs. Right? So full stop right there. There is something going on Mount Kailash, and you can't go, and they won't let you get on it, right? And if you ask me what it is, there's 100% one of these inside it, right? 100%. There was also a Tibetan legend that says that there was a king who built a 9-story crystal mountain inside that mountain.
Yeah.
Basically a pyramid. There's a pyramid inside of Mount Kailash that's generating some type of power or whatever, right? So.
Well, I mean, it says it right here, right? That's the whole point of the legend.
Yeah.
It's essentially it's where the Guardians live.
Yeah, the Guardians, right? And so the Guardians.
Right. We've got yet another.
Jake, the Guardians. Where have we heard that before?
Of Watchers.
Oh,
yet
Watchers.
Another set of Watchers.
Watchers, exactly right. So also too, it's weird, Jay. Where have we heard Watchers and Bigfoots? Like almost like, oh, wait a minute, they came down and they made them, right? So yeah.
Let me take a look at my notes here because this inspired me to do a little bit of a cross reference.
We connect the dots on the channel, people.
Of different cultures and different legends that all kind of have like this idea of a mountain fortress.
Exactly.
Right? So we have the Aztec, who have the city called Tamawanchan, a hidden city of advanced wisdom, preserved ancient knowledge, a perfect societal structure, enlightened rulers,
right,
and will influence future world renewal.
Jay.
And then we also have the Celtics.
Yep. Get them, dog.
And
roll it.
The Greeks.
Yep.
And the Native Americans, which is weird because that's halfway across the world. The White Buffalo Woman Prophecy of the Lakota,
right,
a hidden sacred place where the keepers of wisdom will emerge to help humanity in the future. And preserve the sacred teachings, right?
And they
very similar to the Chinese Kunlun Mountain closest, hidden paradise in the mountains. And then we can just, go from there. Right?
Yeah. So Jay, they all got the following things: hidden wisdom, advanced society, a mountain that you're not allowed to go on, Mount Olympus, Mount Kailash, Mount Shasta, all these other places down there inside of it. And they all have physical guardians out there that all resemble primates, bipedal, Yetis or Bigfoots, right? And this is the thing too. That I'm connecting the dots with, right? And I'm going to break this down real quick. They all have a prophecy associated with them. Now, these are people that you're telling me at the time, right? Were just now the Native Americans never developed a written language or the wheel. They never developed it, but they had the exact same prophecy. The Hopi prophecy is the exact same prophecy as the Kalachakra prophecy. It's the same thing.
Yep. Oh, it's just not. That doesn't even begin, dude.
Yeah, it doesn't even start, right?
You want me to go down the list?
Yeah.
There's a huge list.
So I'm going to have you go over that. Let me break this down real quick, though. So what they say is that these societies had no contact with each other. None whatsoever, right? They were supposed to not even have horses at the time, right? But
it's not like it was.
Yeah. And they're all over the globe, and they all say the same thing. They're all saying the same thing. They all had the same check marks in common: a mountain, mystics, wisdom, advanced society,
preserving ancient knowledge
that are going to come out and help us when things get really bad, right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you right now, people, there's truth in this, and they all had they all have Bigfoot-like creatures protecting them, the entrance of them, right? When the Watchers came down, or if you want to read the Sumerian tablets, when the Watchers came down, they came down on a mountain. It's called Hebron, I'm pretty sure. There were 200 of them. You can't name 5 of them. The only two Watchers that I've ever heard people ever be able to say real quick were Semjaja, their leader, and Azazel, who got murked because he taught us how to fight and use words. Those are the only two. There was 198 unaccounted for Watchers that came down out of the 200, right?
Well, I think they named the 12, didn't they? They named the 12 in the book of Enoch.
Maybe, probably. I'm sure they did.
They did. They named them out, but that were the only ones. Yes, there were like 188 more that we never heard anything.
And they came down all over the earth, right? So check this prophecy out here, right? So check this prophecy. This is the Kalachakra prophecy, Jay. According to the prophecy, a dark age will come when materialism, moral decay, and a lack of spiritualism, bunch of heathens, will come across the world. The 32nd Rigdan king, named Rudra Chakran, also known as the warrior king of Kali King, will lead a great army from Shambhala to defeat the forces of ignorance and corruptions. And the final battle will supposedly lead in a golden age of peace and enlightenment for the world. Now, Jay, I'm going to have you do some cross-referencing real quick. But before we do that, we actually covered a topic that directly overlaps with this. We did when we had our heads down reading about the Hopi and the Grand Canyon, about their creation story. They have a prophecy story. The Hopi speak of a time where when the world will be out of balance, natural disasters, moral decay, spiritual disconnection.
Yeah.
And the rainbow people will come, fight, restore balance. Buddha was rumored to walk across a rainbow bridge, right? When he was meditating.
Well, what is the Bifrost?
A rainbow bridge, right? Exactly. As a matter of fact, that's what it's actually referred. They actually refer to the Bifrost, I think, in Norwegian folklore as the Rainbow Bridge, right? Like literally, it's a rainbow bridge.
Literally what it is. Yeah, it is the Rainbow Bridge.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So you got all these cultures.
Signs of societal decay, right?
Right now, check.
Natural disasters.
Check.
Cosmic celestial events.
Check.
And a cycle of time.
Check.
Like these are all these themes, right? And let me just go down the list. Norse, Ragnarok, is preceded by the age of axes and the age of swords, where brothers fight brothers. The Aztec, the fifth sun, prophecies speak of moral degradation before the final age. The Hindu Kali Yuga describes a time of spiritual darkness, greed, and moral decline. The Hopi prophecies speak of a time when people abandon spiritualism and traditional values. The Islamic signs of Qiyamah, the Day of Judgment, include widespread immorality and materialism. I mean, it's just and right down the line.
And here's something that'll send a shiver down your spine. Go, anybody that see all the people that watch this video, go look up that Hopi prophecy, and you will see several videos and it written down. There's a video that was made, I want to say in the 80s, on a VHS tape where a Hopi, a Native American, is giving the verbal pass down. And he says that a man with a red hat will usher in the age of enlightenment. I'm not making that up. I had to go back and watch that 2 or 3 times. Go look it up, man. The Hopi prophecy prophesies of a man with a red hat. Jay, look it up. So anyways.
Yeah, which side of it? Which side of the enlightenment?
No, to usher in, like to lead it into, right? To lead it into the age of spiritual enlightenment. But anyways, but here's another thing too. When you're dealing with these type of interpretations of prophecy, it's written from what modern day references, right?
Their context.
And their description of the Yeti is exact same as it is right now, as it is back then, as it was passed down to them. It never changed. It never went from a horse to anything else. Their Yeti,
right.
Their Yeti or their Yetis have always been described the exact same way and witnessed by generation upon generation. This wasn't witnessed by Tibetans 500 years ago and passed down. They see them now. They see these things today. And again, on this channel,
a legend to them.
Yes, it's not a legend to them. Like to them, it's like it's to them. It's
part of their life.
It's part of their life, right? And I think that what they're describing and in their lifestyle on how they live, we say it all the time on this channel. Jay, no, ignore it. Native American legend at what?
At your peril.
At your peril, right?
Right.
So if the Sherpas are saying, do not go up there, the Yetis will kill you, and you go up there, you are going to get killed by a Yeti. And F around and find
end up in that lake.
Yeah, exactly. That's where we're getting on that lake, man. But so Shangri-La is protected by these minimum 12 foot tall white Yetis. And they will tell you that they are so white that they can walk up on you in a snowstorm and you will not notice until it's too late, right? You will not notice, right? And what they do is that I'm going to tell you what they think about them, and then I'm going to disagree with them slightly when I get to it, right? They're never scared of these things. They see a Yeti, they show their kids, it's doing their own thing. The Yeti never messes with them. They never mess with it. They don't run, they don't scream, they don't do anything. They have zero fear of these creatures, right? None, right? To them, these Yeti are sacred. They say that, they're spiritual in nature. We'll get into that in a second, but they paint them as mystic, wise, obviously powerful. There's a 12-foot, 16-foot tall, whatever, right? And they say that these things have some type of precognitive ability that they always see you before you see them.
Or you see them.
And that makes perfect sense, man. You know what I mean? And so they say they have the ability to interpret your intentions, right? They can see through you. The Tibetans think that these Yetis can see through you, right?
Right.
And what they mean by that is that, if you're a good person or you're a bad person, they will know, and they will handle you accordingly, right? There's been reports too, man, of people not seeking Shangri-La but getting lost, and these Yetis have saved them. They physically have saved them from snows. Look, that ain't hiking the white trail up in the mountains, right? You get lost up there. You're
stuck. You're done.
And no one's gonna look for you. They're not gonna come find you. Yeah, they're not gonna find you.
Yeah, they're gonna find you for like 100 years.
Yeah, man, that's right. And so
they found that one dude's foot up there.
Yeah, man, right.
100 years later.
Yeah, man. So they've been known to help people, man, to guide lost travelers, and the legend also tells that they are also they're very gentle with you. Where our Bigfoots will throw a rock at you or something like that, these creatures, they won't even do that. They won't even do that. They won't even throw a rock at you. They're very gentle with. They'll come out and they'll try to. They will say that these people, these Tibetans, that if they don't want you to go somewhere, they'll just stand there. They'll just block. They'll just stand there. Several of them will stand there and just look at you, and will just kind of like block you from like going in a certain direction. And if you get lost, they've been known to gently, pick people up and like physically move them, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, but that ain't all the story. Jay, tell them about that lake, dog.
The lake of 1,000 skeletons.
Yeah, right.
Right.
See?
Where they have found people of all different places in Asia.
Yeah.
At the bottom of that thing.
Yeah.
And some of them skull fractures. Right? And so they were thinking it was either sacrificial, right? Or some sort of pit.
Yeah, ignore the people that lived there for 100,000 years, and then just go ahead and say, yeah, they must be some type of, because that's where your mind would go. Yeah, they must be ritually cracking people's heads open and chucking them into this lake. So there's a lake up there. I forget how far the lake is up, it's up there, but there's a lake in that region, and they have found 800 to 1,000 skeletons in there. And so what you have is, it leads into the other part where it says that the people who are not deemed worthy to go into Shangri-La, you get killed by a Yeti and he throws you in the lake, right? So so your three options are: you get in, spoiler alert, they'll never let you leave. Once you get in, you're never allowed to leave Shangri-La if you get in there, right?
But I mean, if it's Shangri-La, do you want to leave?
Yeah. I mean,
if it's all it's cracked up to be,
yeah,
I'm thinking I'm probably going to want to stay anyway.
Yeah. So if you get in, that's option number one. Right. So you make it. You get that Willy Wonka golden ticket, and you get.
They got streaming. They got Netflix.
You get in there. Or number two, you weren't looking for it, and they know you weren't looking for it because they can see through you.
They just take you out.
And they just they'll just guide you down the mountain, right? If
they'll shoot you off.
Yeah, you get shoot off, right, in a gentle way. Or if you go up there with bad intentions in your heart and you're hell bent on getting in, and they don't think you're worthy, then you get the.
And they put you in the lake.
And they throw you in the lake, right? So.
Yeah, it's a good warning to people with bad intentions, right?
I'm thinking like pause that for a second, like
F around and find out. But in a literal sense.
I mean, like, is there something like a checklist, I
think when you
are my intentions bad?
Are you going to punch a Yeti?
No, I'm about to get into Shangri-La.
I don't think they're good. I don't think you're getting into Shangri-La, but you're probably going to get guided down the mountain.
Yeah, I'm not an evil dude, man. So I don't think that I would deserve to get a head crack and tossed.
And you're not going there with. I think what they mean by intentions is if you're going up there with an elephant gun and you're going to hunt a Yeti.
Yeah, no, definitely that's not
right.
That. Yeah, no,
that's a bad idea.
Yeah,
that's probably how you end up in the lake.
Yeah,
if you go up there and you're just climbing and you got lost, they're probably going to put you on a saucer and send you down the hill.
Yeah, just help you get back down the hill. Well, I'm good with that, man. So now, so far what we've talked about is the mythos, right, Jay, about what it is, the mythology behind it.
The nice Yetis.
Yeah, and we've also
Yetis.
We've also talked about how the Tibetan people it's in their it's a mainstay in their culture, man. It is actually a cornerstone in their culture, right? Shangri-La, Yetis, the whole thing. But we haven't really given you any physical evidence about Shangri-La. So, but there is some physical evidence about Shangri-La, and it starts back around the 13th century. There was a kingdom founded in the area. It was called the Kingdom of Guge, Guge, if I'm pronouncing that right?
Okay.
And it was put in such a remote area that people thought the person who founded the kingdom was like an idiot, right? Like there's no way this will thrive. And they came back like 2 years later, and this thing is like a massive, like this thing is just, beyond advanced, right? And everybody's doing great. And they were in awe of this, right? Like it was out of the way. You wouldn't, if you're not going to Guge, you're not going to find it, right? That's how where it was at, right? And they asked this king, I'm see if I can find his name here, man. They asked the king of him, and he said, how are you able to thrive like this? And he says, well, we wouldn't if it wasn't for the people of Shangri-La that are helping us, or Shambhala. So he accredited the city's success to Shambhala. Well, eventually, like most things, the secret of Guge, got out. And it got invaded. An army went up there to sack it in 1673. An army went up there to conquer it. And when they got there, they found the city, and everybody was gone. Like we're talking 100,000 plus people were in this city, right? And they just left. They were all gone. They tore the city apart, looking for the people, looking whatever. They found some tunnels that ran a kilometer underground. And then the tunnels were collapsed. They couldn't go any further, right? So there's actually a historical reference. The Kingdom of Guge existed. I can't remember the conqueror that went up there to get him. 1673, city was deserted. We've heard that before too. Also, if you go into Peru, there was a city on the top of a mountain up there where it just one day the people just disappeared and left, right? And so yeah, there is a actual history book, world history reference of the Kingdom of Guge, the Kingdom of Guge success being directly attributed to by the king and the inhabitants to the help of the people from Shangri-La or Shambhala, right? And in their recorded history, they also said that those people possessed the following traits. Highly intelligent. They were not immortal, but they could live up to 4,000 years. And I thought that was a very, very, very specific detail to include because they were not eternal. Right? I'm sorry, we've had that conversation before where they were like they lived forever, but they lived up to 4,000 years. They had the ability to use telepathy, highly intelligent, could teleport, right? Here's the last two. They describe them being able to travel through the stars, going to other worlds, right? And this is something very specific that they said that they could do that I've only heard ever attributed on this, is that these people could time travel, right?
Interesting.
Very interesting, right? So I'm like, okay. Mostly we get the whole they're super smart and wisdom and whatever, whatnot, but very rarely do we get that they could teleport and that they could time travel, right? But that was according to the written histories of the Kingdom of Guge or Goge, G-U-G-E, that they could do these things. And I'm like, all right, well, that's one more pancake on the mystery pile there.
Right.
And to let you know,
so I'm looking.
While you're looking that up, Jacob, what was that?
I'm looking at the terrain here, in where it's supposed to be, right? Holy cow, those are some sharp mountains. But
yeah,
like, I can imagine there's. See, I can totally see it, right? Like, in their context, those mountains are impenetrable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they are 100% impenetrable. I mean, I'm looking at this thing and it's like crazy, but we have satellite view now.
Yeah. Well, so Jay, I mean, but like, let's unpack that. We know that when the Watchers came down and they landed on Mount Hermon, you're not allowed to climb Mount Hermon. There's a permanent UN military base of Germans.
Yeah, it's so weird, right?
Mount Hermon, right? You can hike Mount Hermon, but you can't summit Mount Hermon, right? We also know that there's a pyramid that I did a show on that people laughed at about a year ago, where there was a pyramid. I showed people there was a pyramid in Antarctica. People didn't believe me, and now everybody's talking about what the pyramid they found in Antarctica. That's 2 miles by 2 miles by 2 miles. 2 miles. One side of it is 2 miles. It's the biggest pyramid on the planet, right? Can't go to Antarctica. So you can't go to Mount Kailash. They know what's there, dog. They know. Bro.
So then we're talking about our original theory that there's all these caverns underneath the mountain, and that's where the Watchers are. That's
real. They know it's real, bro. They know Bigfoot's real. They know these Yetis are real.
So then here's the next question, right? So we always get back to the same thing. Why hide it?
I'll tell you why. I knew you were coming on that, so I'll tell you why they hid it, bro. This place was so real that Hitler tried to find it. He sent several expeditions there because he wanted the Society of Thule. The Society of Thule. They wanted the Wonder Wappas, the Wonder Weapons or whatever. And I'm also curious on those 800 skeletons in that lake, because I'm thinking a Nazi might not get you into Shangri-La.
I'm pretty sure they don't.
I'm curious if they can get any bone marrow out of there and do some DNA testing and see how many.
They did do DNA testing.
Yeah, how many of them are white boys?
It's mostly Asian. It's mostly Asian.
Yeah.
People but there were some Korean and Chinese in there.
Yeah.
Which was weird, right?
And I'm telling you, man, the reason why they don't tell you this, right, is because if one thing is found to be true, everything else has to be re-examined. That's why they hide the giant bones. That's why they men in black people. That's why the Yeti bodies are never discovered or never put on display in the Smithsonian. All that stuff is covered up, man. And I'll also tell you the second reason why. Shangri-La, those people aren't gods, right? And I'm going to unpack this for you real quick here.
Okay.
If you look into Hinduism and Buddhism, there are several statues of Buddha with 6 fingers. Buddha was a Nephilim. That's all he was.
Oh.
He's not some human that's enlightened, right? Again, he's not. So you have statues of, I've been to the Great Buddha in Japan, in Kamakura. I've been there.
Me too.
Yeah. A lot of statues, especially in the Thailand region, Buddha has 6 fingers on those statues. They changed it. They took it away, and not even hard to find. Get off page 1 of Google, and you can look at it. Just go to the images, right? You'll find it.
Right.
Buddha was a Nephilim, fam. Enigmites. He's nothing special. He's nothing like. Of course, they thought he was a god. All Nephilims told these people they were gods. All of them did. You'll never find one Nephilim who didn't say, "Worship me." Right?
Well, I mean, Ray, when someone asks you if you're a god, you say yes.
You say yes. It's
kind of the answer, right?
The entire Hindu pantheon, they're Nephilim, or they're the Watchers. Shiva is not a god. He is a watcher. You go and you look up, I'm sorry to the Hindus or the Indians or the Buddhists.
Thing, though, right? The ancient cultures treated their gods like with a small g, right? Not with the big G.
Yeah.
Right? They weren't these omnipotent, omnipresent.
Well, no, they love Shiva. They love them some Shiva, the 6-armed breakdancer.
But what? Okay, so there's this Judeo-Christian idea of God, right? What is often referred to as Yahweh, right? This omnipresent, like everywhere, sees everything, knows everything.
The Great Spirit, right? The Creator, all across.
Right? When they're talking about like Odin or Zeus or Hermes or whatever, these are not omnipotent gods. These are entities who are all too human. All
lowercase g's, right?
Right. Yeah. And so when you look at that, right, and you say, okay, they're not the big G, they're the little g. That sounds an awfully lot like, angels, and they all kind of take on a similarity there, right? And dude, I've mapped it down. Like it's like I said, it's turtles all the way down, right? You can trace where these legends came from and how they filtered up into different places and their trade routes and all that stuff. But then you have these anomalies, right? Where you have all of these people over here and they all kind of have similar beliefs, and that makes sense because they had trade routes and that's how the diaspora happened, right? Mm-hmm. But then you've got these guys over here and then these guys down here, all the way down in Australia in this isolated island, right? Who have some of the same prophecies.
Same stuff.
Same legends about flood.
Yes.
Right?
Great flood.
500 disparate cultures with legends about flood.
500. 500.
That's a lot.
And to make you think there's still stupid people that think it didn't happen. Oh, it's made up. You're a sky daddy. Sky daddy? All right.
I mean, the evidence is kind of irrefutable at this point when you gather it. The problem, we never had this access to information that we have today. Right?
Yep.
And I'll tell you, this ties into artificial intelligence a little bit, and I'm not going to go down that road real deep, but I'll go in a shout out. We'll take a little dip in that pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
These AI have been trained on, just think of it as all of the legends and lore that we've ever written and is in the public domain is in these things. Yeah. It's in there. So do your own research. Go talk to ChatGPT and ask, right, how many different cultures have a flood myth? Right? That's what it's for. That's literally what it's for. It's there to teach you things and like give you information. So go get the information. It's neat.
Yeah, I also
do your own research. It's all right there.
Yeah, I've been telling people this on my Instagram channel, man. I shouldn't be your first stop or your last stop. I should be your first. When you ask it how many people have a flood mythos, next question is how many cultures have a word for a shape-shifting reptile that can take on human form? And watch that list fill out, right? So yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
And so when you go and you look at the Hindu god lowercase g pantheon, you got giants walking around with elephant heads, blue. All of this screams Nephilim, crossbreeding, hybridization, just like that book back there talks about in the book of Enoch, all that stuff, right? 100%, right? That's why I'm telling you. I'm going to say some things that are controversial, and then I'm going to say some things that Hinduism isn't real. It's not. It's not even close to real. It's not even close to real, man. Praying to like the 900 watchers or the Nephilim down there. Buddha was real. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Well,
your
basically the tenets there, though.
No, it's not.
Don't even be kind to others.
Stop. You do that.
There's always.
You do that. Go.
There's always something.
Go put your bathrobe on.
There's some wisdom to be extracted from something, right?
To become everything, you must become nothing. That is so stupid. I don't even want to hear that. I don't even want to hear that from you.
It's
more
along the lines of don't think too hard.
No, exactly. Don't
you would agree with that, right? Don't think too much.
I've already beat Hinduism, Shintoism, and Buddhism to death.
Whatever.
But if you go look at that Hindu pantheon of gods, right? They're just Nephilim. That's all they are, man. They're just Nephilim. And the Nephilim, along with the Watchers, created Sasquatch. They created the Yetis. They created these Enkidu.
Giants.
Giants. They created it, right? So if you're going to ask me, is Buddhism real? Buddha was a real person. He was a Nephilim. 6 fingers. Go look it up. You'll find statues with 5 fingers on it because they thought, oh, let's make him correct. No, his 6-finger one statues, here's a fun fact for you. They're older than the 5-finger ones. Look it up. He was real. He was a Nephilim. All the gods in the Hindu pantheon, they were real. They're Nephilim. Shiva is probably a watcher. He was probably one of the angels that came down, or guardians, or Anunnaki, or whatever you want to call it, right? He probably is in that mountain. And that mountain is weird. Kailash is Mount Shasta way over there. There's a bunch of stuff over there, right? These Yetis over there, bro, as we know, they are real. So I actually believe that Shangri-La or Shambhala is actually a real place. I actually believe it. I believe it. Just like, what was that society you were telling me that was in Mount Shasta? What was that called? Like the
Ant people.
No, it was the
Ant people.
No, the ones that went to war with Atlantis. Supposedly Atlantis is in Antarctica.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
The Lemurians.
Yeah, exactly.
The Lemurians.
The Lemurians, right? I actually think that Mount Shasta and Shambhala is a real place, man.
Okay,
but
so
it ain't this whole
again
spiritual stuff.
Like we go to the best. All right. So if you're watching a civilization grow, right? Walk it back all the way back about 12,000 years, right?
Right.
Right after the event, right after the tide washes in and all the everything is cleansed, right? And you want to erase your own existence,
right,
from the experiment, right? And yet you still have to keep an eye on them because that's what you're assigned to do, right? Where do you hide? Well, you don't necessarily have to hide right away, but as they spread, you have to withdraw.
Yeah, you have to pull back.
So all of these legends of the Fae,
yeah,
and the Jinn,
yeah,
and Quetzalcoatl, and all of these things, right, is humanity spreading out,
mm-hmm.
Coming into contact with the Watchers that still exist, and then withdrawing. And eventually, where are they going to go? They're going to go down to the ocean.
Yes.
Bottom of the ocean.
Yes.
And into the deep caves.
And it's funny you bring that up, man, because for funsies, I'm reading the book of Revelations, right? I'm studying it, actually. And I cannot get over the amount of passages in there where it talks about God ripping people out of the earth.
From underneath the earth.
Underneath the earth. And so if I was a Nephilim or a Watcher that was in trouble, and I knew the flood was coming because Enoch told them, you're smoked. And I dug into Mount Shasta, right, to wait the flood out, right? And the flood went away. and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm just going to hang out here and hope they forget about me, right? And you're not allowed to come on my mountain. In fact, whip me up some of them talking monkeys over there, and have them guard the entrance out here, and nobody gets close to us, right?
What's fascinating about Mount Shasta and the Adirondack, not the Adirondack, Appalachian Mountains?
The cave systems in the Appalachian Mountain and how old they are is insane.
And they're on the coasts.
Ah, that's a good point right there. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? How far did the water go in?
No, it covered the whole earth, man. So, yeah. So,
well, I mean, we know it covered a lot, but I don't know that it covered the whole earth, but it flooded a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so, if you're going to go down, right, you're going to go down where you were at to begin with. And if you were on the coasts, what's the best way to get rid of coastal communities? Drop a stone on the planet and watch the tsunami just wash it all away.
Yeah, no. So yeah, that's a good point. But anyway, so all right, so you know how we do. It's Q&A time, Jay. It's Q&A time, and I got some good ones.
Okay.
Are you ready? You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Shangri-La, real or not real?
I think it's buried under the mountains in Tibet.
Think so?
I don't think it's on top. I think it's underneath. But I don't necessarily think it's stationary.
You don't think? Oh, really? Think it moves?
I think it's a ship.
Under the ground?
Mm-hmm.
Like a little cave crawler, right?
How about this, man? If you can travel light speed, you figured out how to cheat gravity, right?
Yeah.
What are the chances that you can't phase through a solid object with that drive?
Probably a good point right there. Yeah, for sure. Spiritual or technology?
Technology.
100%.
I always vote on the side of technology.
No, I mean, like I said, man, that's the thing too. Like,
it's Arthur C. Clarke's famous line, man. It's just everywhere. It's always in my head. Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
Yeah. So for me, yeah, for me, 100%. It's not, and there's nothing spiritual about this place. There's nothing spiritual about your ability to get into it or not get into it. I think it's real, and if they want you in, they'll let you in. If they don't want you in, they'll shoo you away or they'll kill you.
You gotta be like Enoch.
Yeah, I mean, so there's no. Look, you're free to live your life any way you want to live your life, as long as you're not hurting any people. And I cannot think of a more passive group of people than Tibetan monks. They never hurt anybody, right? So you want to shave your head, you want to wear a robe, and you just want to meditate all day, you are not hurting nobody. And that will never get you in Shangri-La or Shambhala, right? That won't help you. If they want you in, they'll let you in. And this whole meditating, opening your, that's to me, that's to me.
Well,
that's the most foreign thing to me, right?
You know what's fascinating to me? The fact I love this story of Enoch, right? Like, I love it with all of my heart, because they didn't value him because he was worshipful. They valued him because he understood.
He was wise.
He was wise. He understood, right? He was a man from basically a Stone Age society that understood what the angels were talking about.
Everything. The great scribe, direct descendant from Adam, 7th generation, Methuselah's father, Noah's great-great-grandfather. So yeah, God loved him so much, he took him. He just took Enoch. Enoch never died. He's probably going to show back up one day, according to the scriptures.
Yeah, I think he's gonna come back on a ship and he's gonna be like, "What the fuck do you guys do?"
Right. So for sure. So, anyways, I'm with you, 100%. 100%. This is a technologically advanced society. There's nothing spiritual about this place. There's nothing spiritual about Mount Shasta. There's a reason. There's energy there. There's an energy field there. There's something going on there. And I don't think that being a Buddhist monk trying to reach an enlightenment, I just think that's an extreme. To me, it's like being a priest or being a nun. That's the farthest you could go in that type of religion right there. And you know what, man? I ain't never heard of a monk doing nothing bad to nobody, so go crazy. I'll give you some, whatever it is you guys use up there for money if I ever go to Tibet. Now, they rely on donations, right? That's another thing. They have no worldly possessions.
Yeah, I mean, it's a certain kind of life for sure. Yeah. Right. And the whole tenet is to be peaceful and not hurt anybody.
Yeah.
Like that's their whole bag. So like complete, pacifism. So, I mean,
go crazy with it.
Can't argue with that.
Yeah. No.
Right.
All right. Yetis, real or not real?
Man, the more I see, the more I
believe.
I just don't know, right? Like I keep seeing, weird stuff, right? I keep, dude, in all the research, I keep going down, and there's just so many common threads.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just there's so many legends about it, and there's so many common threads within so geographically distant areas.
Look, and and look, put this on your plate, man. Tibet near the Himalayan mountain, right? Would you agree with me? You couldn't be any farther from the outback of Australia.
Yeah, no. I mean, there's not a lot of cross-pollination there.
So you have the Aboriginals talking about the Yowie, right? And you have the Tibetan people in the Himalayas talking about the Yeti. There's no way they're like, hey, look, man, let's play a long joke.
And then on another continent, they're talking about Sasquatch and Wendigo.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So you can't.
It's always around the mountains.
It's always around the mountains, man. And so the thing too is, I'm telling you, is that it's not real because we have no proof or we have no body, right? We have never found like a body. And so they were saying the exact same thing about megalodons like 10 years ago until they found a tooth. I think it was even shorter than like, what about this doomsday fish that just showed up all of a sudden that no one knew what that was about? And so that can't possibly be real, but they've been talking about it for 1,000 years. And then you got the giant squid. No, that can't possibly be real. No, that's a giant squid.
There it is.
Yeah. So man, shut up with that, nerds. Shut up. Shut up with that, right? So shut up.
Yeah, and especially the ocean, man. Like we've explored the upper atmosphere more than we have explored the ocean.
So
there's so many monsters down there.
Right. You ever seen a ghost?
No.
You believe in ghosts?
Kinda.
You're stupid. They're not. You're not reading. Have you ever seen one? You ever seen one on a table? You ever seen one in a museum? Stupid.
I've seen some crazy shit happen.
You probably think the Earth is round,
seen
don't
an
you?
apparition, though.
You probably think the Earth's round too, don't you? Stupid.
Yeah. We're not going to get into that. Man. Come on, man.
There's no way.
Don't make me get into the great coin. Okay.
Yeah. So there's just no way. We talk about it all the time. The channel was built on a founding baseline level. They saw something. You can't just say.
For sure.
You can't just say doesn't exist. It's not real.
And then you get all these accounts, right? Of like when we were talking about Columbus the other day.
Yeah.
And you read into that, and then you read it from a perspective of someone post 2023 or 2022 when they confirmed that the Tic Tac video was real, and they're like, yeah, it's real, but we have no freaking idea what it is.
Yeah. And
then you go back and you read, Columbus's account, and you're like, oh, crap. They saw a freaking Tic Tac.
Described it to the T.
Back then. They described it perfectly. They saw a freaking Tic Tac over the ocean in the Atlantic. Holy crap.
It resembled a half-burnt candle, but blurry and moved erratically.
The nub of a candle.
Come on, man. You can't say they didn't see, that doesn't exist. They didn't see anything. I get this too, man. Like, I'm trying to be more patient, right? I'm trying to be more patient because through this channel, we're able to interact with people that I would never be able to interact with, right? And I've come across, I'm going to be real polite what I say here, right? I've come across a certain subcategory of individuals that no matter what, they will never believe. And I used to think that they were just stupid, but it's not, man. It is 100% a cognitive ability to accept something beyond the scope of their current reality. And if anything enters that world that they have created, it will shatter them to the point where they will not, that they just couldn't function in this world. That baffles me. Like, wow, to no end. But then I have great empathy for them. Like, yeah, man, it's a
rigid worldview, right?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I've had that discussion. One of my favorites is no one's a bigger evangelist than an atheist or a vegan. Right? And so I've had conversations with both because I just find it fascinating, right?
Yeah.
The idea of evangelism just fascinates me to begin with.
No, so
like this whole atheism thing, right? You are certain that there is no God. You're absolutely certain of it because that's what you're saying. You are 100% certain of it. But that's not right because you're not. Because it hasn't been disproven. Right?
Yeah.
And I say this, in a probabilistic world, which is where we live, right? Ruled by probability, roll of the dice, right? There is a non-zero chance of there being a God. And if you believe in Everett's interpretation of the multiverse, then that means if there's a non-zero chance of there being a God, that in some part of the multiverse there is one.
Well,
if he is a God, he can travel between places in the multiverse.
I.e., there's a God.
I.e., there is a non-zero probability that there is a God.
Yeah. And so the thing with me too is that it was funny what you brought up there too is that how do you know if somebody's an atheist or a vegan?
They'll tell you.
They'll tell you.
For sure. They'll tell you. They'll let you know. 15 minutes max.
They'll let you know. Trust me, Enigmites. If you don't know any atheists or vegans, trust me. If you did, you would know because they would straight away freaking tell you. So,
sharp teeth, Joe. Sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Sharp.
Right.
Sharp teeth.
Yeah. Unbelievable. So here's the thing to wrap this up. Right. Here's to wrap this up. I believe there's a Shangri-La. I'm 100% believe. There's no doubt. That's not. It's just even to the point. It's laughable if you think that Yetis or Sasquatch or Yowies or whatever aren't real. It's laughable at this point. If you've watched more than 5 videos on this channel, like there's so much evidence that we've unpacked that we'll be able to go in there and do it. The only thing that I don't like about these societies or these prophecies is that how they view these people as so benevolent and so all this secret knowledge. If you've got that knowledge to make our world better and you're not sharing that knowledge, then I hate you. You understand? So if I have to go through, come on, man.
There's an argument there, though.
Leave the planet. It's our planet.
Would you give a 6-year-old a hand grenade?
No, but I'd give him amoxicillin.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. But who's saying that they didn't?
Please. You're living for 4,000 years.
Saying, right? Like
you're telling me you're living for 4,000 years?
You'll hear an argument. I can argue it on both sides because I have done it already in my brain.
You know what? You're getting out of hand over. You're soft. You're soft. You understand? You're getting out of hand over.
Trust me, I've gotten far from soft. No, look, here's the thing.
You used to be a straight up killer. Now you don't want to talk about everybody wants to get along.
Here's the thing. Well, because here's the thing. We're fighting amongst ourselves when we should be we should be investigating what's here beside us, because it's obvious, right?
I think
There's
so
things
too.
here besides us, and we should know what those things are. And instead of arguing, we should be focusing on the thing that is there.
Well, you know what? I know I'm right. And if you've stuck around this long, Jay, what do we write about?
Yeah, John.
Our type of loser.
I did it the wrong way. I can't remember which is the right way.
You're our type of losers. Hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. I got some homework for you Enigmites out there, and I'm sure when you see this video, let us know in the comments if you think that Buddha was actually a Nephilim. And I'm telling you right now, and I know it's going to sting, but I tell you, I
much hate.
I pull that Band-Aid off.
Pull a Band-Aid off.
With love, man. With love.
With love.
Buddha was real. He was not a human being. He was not a god. He was a lowercase g. He was a six-finger, probably six-toed Nephilim. He was a descendant from the Watchers. And that's all you get for $1, nerds. We're out.
Subscribe now and turn on the notifications to join us on this extraordinary journey into the unknown.